if you ever heard of Dan Buettner. He's a book writer and a researcher. He got a grant from National Geographic to do a study of what they call the blue zones. There's 6 blue zones on the planet, right, where people naturally live to like the high 90s or even into their hundreds. Yeah. So he wanted to find out why was that, and he went out and looked. And one of the number one, we'd think it would be diet, exercise, environment. What he found was the culture of the environment was a big one. You know, just the camaraderie, the connection of the people was another great big piece to that, living a long and healthy life. So some of these areas of the world that where just the culture of the people stimulates that connection and that relationship oriented lifestyle. I mean, I can feel it around here. I've been to the East Coast too, New York, the Bronx, you know, Queens, all those places. And I'll tell you what, energy is quite different.
Yeah, I think that especially when you are living in a place where there's a really high energy pull and you feel really grounded to nature and in an easy way. And then when you get out of that, you feel it stronger. You know, but then when you get kicked out of that and you come into like a big city environment, or, you know, versus if you are in a big city environment and you are, or in an environment where you don't feel so connected, and then you know, you don't feel it as strongly when you come into an earth environment. That's my feeling or my take on it. But
yeah, we call that contrast, right? I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You understand? Yep.
Yeah, let's start, because we have a long list of people who want the recording. We had more people enrolled.
The deliveries definitely are different. I don't know how it's going in the States, but they're varying very much. In Europe, they're very quick. Just a couple of days, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's like in the States, but I think that we can expect it to be a little wobbly considering the world situation right now.
Yeah, and like we experienced in Singapore last week, a client of mine had his delivered the day after. So in normal situations, you know, and what the company strives for is obviously a very swift thing. And like you experience, you have problems even sending anything from Spain to Bali, say. So we're in a different world, and we're here to promote something really, really good. And to get cracking, we have some questions, Ken, to you. And can you first off say, what's your role with Healy in the US?
Well, great. Thanks for asking. The great question. So what I do with Healy is I'm part of a mastermind team, and that's going to rotate as we move forward. But, you know, we don't like to say a field advisory board or anything like that. It's not really a board. It's a mastermind crew. And so there are a team of 3 of us within the U.S. that actually assist our general manager, which is Rick Fleshman. And we give feedback from the field. We find solutions in the field. We use our team as a test subjects. We are working out the kinks, and it's from the field leaders. So that's where I'm at. I'm part of one of those folks that we meet weekly behind the scenes to talk about the challenges and then come up with solutions. So I guess I'm part of the mastermind problem solver crew. So I started with Healy in December in the U.S. Of course, the U.S. was not open for business in December, but I got started because I believed in the product, and that's another part of the story. But I got started in December. I started right away, as there was a group of about 30 leaders in the U.S. that really started to spread the word and to build an organization and start learning and teaching and creating a support structure. I mean, to be honest, that's the key, right? Is have a good support structure. When you finally go live, there's already something in place. And I'll tell you, you can never underestimate the amount of preparation you should have under your belt before you go live. I imagine every single one of Australia as well. I was very familiar with what the startup issues and things with Australia, and they didn't have a general manager. I mean, they did amazing without any corporate support. So it was a big challenge for them.
Yeah. What is your experience with Healy so far? I mean, your personal experience and how you see.
So Healy is, so let me, to back up a little bit, this technology came to me literally in a pineal meditation, 4-hour pineal meditation that I was in a training with 1,100 other people. And my background is in engineering. So my degree is in electronics engineering. And so my brain works that way. And so technology is a deep understanding that I have. And in this meditation, this understanding of a device came to me. And I understand that if we have information, we can probably create some kind of transformation within ourselves. So usually our biggest challenge is just knowing what's going on. And you've probably experienced this, you just know something's wrong, but you can't put your finger on it, right? You just like, I know something's out of whack. I know something's out of sorts, but I just can't, if I could just put my finger on it, I could probably work on it. Well, so I know this too. And I know there's a lot of technology out there for measuring biorhythms and things within the body. And I was in this meditation and suddenly this watch came to me that I could kind of use the watch as a tool where I was able to know something was going on, but kind of look at the watch as an advisor to help me out. And it would tell me, oh my gosh, your cortisol levels are through the roof, right? And so here's some balancing mechanisms to do to drop that cortisol down, whether it be breathing or whether it be some sort of grounding or some sort of homeopathic remedy. It could tell me. And so I'd look at the watch, it would help me with that information. And then it would even kind of help me get to that point. So it was kind of balancing me. And I was super excited when I came out of that meditation. I was like, man, this is great. This was 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
So, so suddenly I had an idea of this technology. And I know that ideas are gifts, right? We all get them. And if we choose to act on them, then we're probably going to be the inventor. We're probably going to be the one that brings it to our human population, our species. But if we don't, it's going to go to someone else. Over the years, I've learned this. I've invented many things and never produced a single one. And every one of them are on this planet today, not by my hand. So, so through this meditation, I come out of the meditation and I was super excited. And every year I've got a soul brother in Australia. I mean, all the time we're talking and we talk about what we're going to do this year. And he and I are on the phone and I tell him, I've got this meditation and this technology came to me and I told him about it. And he goes, oh, you got to invent that. And I said, yeah, okay. Super excited. He's telling me about this product he wants to make. And I said, oh, everybody needs that. You got to invent that. So fast forward a year and neither one of us do anything. Neither one of us didn't do anything with it, right? We dabble a little bit here and there. We had no product, no anything on the table. And that's kind of the ways things tend to go with people, right? So fast forward another year from there. So back this past December, he rings me up and says, hey, guess what? You know that technology you were telling me about? And I said, yeah. He goes, it's here. And I said, what do you mean it's here? And he says, yeah, there's a German company that created this product that you can do these things. And oh, by the way, they're coming out with a watch. And I'm like, okay. I said, you know what? Who's the guy? I studied up on Marcos Schmika, the quantum physicist / monk, the creator. I thought that was fascinating already. I started studying up on him. I found out his principles, his desires, his similarities with Tesla, and what he wanted to do, empower the world. And I really believe that's necessary. So I got on board. It was a no-brainer. I got on board and started running with it. I already had a belief, and I tell people all the time, I said, you can't untaste the orange juice. You can't experience an experience. And so based on the meditation, based on the science, I had an experience even without a device. So I'm like, I'm in, and started building a team. And so,
fantastic. Yeah. What a fascinating story. I absolutely love that. And I so resonate with what you're saying there, that, when something comes to us, we are supposed to take action on it, but most of the time we don't. We start dabbling maybe in our head or in our mind, and then if we don't take action, someone else does it. And I so believe that. It is so true. And what a fascinating story. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
But the story of Healy goes back, you know, with the time waiver, the big therapeutic medical device that has been there for 13 years. So that's the 500,000 clients, I guess, that they list and all that, though Healy has a ton already. But with the short span of Healy, you got into the business energetically in a way. And how then do you see the growth pattern in the U.S. and in the world on forward?
Well, so I've got when he came to me, it stimulated a passion, one with a purpose, which is a healing-centered consciousness. Really, I've been too long in an environment where most people are just working on disease prevention. And I have a philosophy that if you want to ever find out something deep about what you're saying, about what someone else is saying, is I say, get under the umbrella with the words. So if you say the words disease prevention, and I was to get under an umbrella and just me and disease were under there. And I think about what's being kept in by the umbrella and what's being kept out by the umbrella. Disease, what I'm keeping out is health, right? I'm keeping out health. What I'm keeping in is disorder. And so prevention, the word prevention, what I'm keeping out is possibility. What I'm keeping in is everything that's resistance and prevention. And so that word seems like that there's some good things to it, or that phrase, disease prevention, seems okay, but it's really wrong. We're really putting our focus on the wrong things. And so a healing-centered consciousness, if you go to all three of those words, the word healing, you get under an umbrella with the word healing, you're keeping out disease. You're keeping out disorder, right? Healing is all that's happening under that umbrella. The centeredness, the word centered, you know, you've got an umbrella, you get under centered. What are you keeping out? Well, chaos, uncenteredness, you know, disorder, the lack of focus. When you're centered, right? That's it. And then consciousness, you know, you're under that umbrella with a consciousness. Now you're keeping out unconsciousness, you know, asleep, you're awake, right? And so those three words resonated with me, and that's really what I've built all of my business model on, building a healing-centered consciousness around everything we do, every way we talk, every tool we build. Is this healing? Is this actually creating, or is it pulling away? We don't want to try to build anything that's not coherent, right? So that's what happened. And as I start to talk about that, now think about this. So Healy, I describe Healy. Maybe this might be one of your other questions, but I'm going to skip forward a little bit. But I describe Healy.
You're on a roll, so we're happy to listen to you. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. So Healy literally is a bridge between the quantum field of information and the biological and physical field of matter, right? And so now if I'm starting to put my healing-centered consciousness into this bridge, and I'm talking to 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 10,000 people about a healing-centered consciousness, and then they're talking and interacting with their Healy. And now we're bridging the quantum field of information and the biology and the physical fields of matter. We've suddenly changed consciousness. I mean, we're starting to now feed the right wolf. I mean, you might say, right? And that's kind of the key thing is as we start to do that, it's going to put the right energy. It's going to start to create the right coherence and the right outcome. So that's my business philosophy, and the way that has worked is it's not a push, pull, or drag concept. It is a vision, and it is one that I think this planet's ready for. I think not just U.S., not just Australia, not just Bali, but I think this planet's ready for a healing-centered consciousness.
Absolutely.
And that's really resonated, and I invite everyone to use that. It resonates with the human species. You know, we're a 200,000-year-old species that has forgotten more in this century than we can afford. So I think that gives us it gives us permission to get back into that other consciousness.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe too, with this approach, and it is that you create this magnetism.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like the Healy pulls the right people who are open for this understanding and who resonates with this way of thinking, and so it's so natural, and that's why the pull and push, which we don't want to do anyway, it's completely out the door, and it is really that beautiful sharing that comes from the heart, space.
I
And
agree.
makes it so easy.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So what has the Healy done for you? What's your experience with the device and the programs, and what has been the most useful?
It's a great question. And I actually have two examples that were quite early on. And I mean, I've got hundreds, but there's two that I can share in a couple of different realms. One is in the spiritual realm and the other in the physical realm, because I think people are operating in both spaces, right? We should be anyway. So I have a meditation practice, and I have a ritual, I guess you might say, that goes along with that. You know, I have a mat, and I have my eye mask, and I have my music, and I have my place in my home. I have all those pieces that I get, you know, as long as I get all those pieces in together, you know, I can get fairly quickly and easily into a state. And so I know where I can go within a certain period of time. And I decided one day when I first was investigating the Healy, it's got the chakra page. So I said, I'm gonna test the chakra page and see where that goes. And the meditation I love the most is the pineal gland meditation, which is a guided meditation. I don't know, do you guys know Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yeah. Very well.
So I've been training with him for about 8 years. And so I use his work. And I was doing the pineal gland meditation. It's about an hour long, and I'm always able to open that awareness and just really broaden my focus, my escape. So I thought one day I'm just gonna go ahead and do the brow chakra meditation, or the Healy program, while I do my meditation. Let's just see what happens. Let's experiment. And so I also thought, I'm not going to do all my rituals. I'm not even going to take my glasses off. I'm not going to close the shades. I'm not going to sit on my mat. I'm just going to sit on the couch here. I'm going to put my earbuds in, which aren't even my headphones I always use. I'm just going to go minimalist, right? And I'm going to see where I can go. And so I dive in. I hit the start on the Healy program, start the music. And it must have been like 3 minutes, not even 3 minutes. It was like suddenly, you know, I closed my eyes. I know it takes a while. Dr. Joe says, you know, sit up. You know, I always know what he's going to say because I've done this meditation. And before he even really got into changing my state, my head widened right up. It was blew wide open, and my pineal gland was just like transmitting, right? I was in this transceivership. And I was like, it was a little overwhelming. And I've been working with him for 8 years. I've been to well over a dozen live events with thousands of people and had great experiences. This one was like unexpected. And so I thought, well, that's new. And the only thing I did was I didn't use my ritual, and I did use the Healy. So I'm thinking, okay. So that's the big one. It was just instantaneous. I guess you might say the gestation period between alpha or beta state, and then alpha state, right? Was very short, just boom, right in. So that was the spiritual, and I've done many more since then, but that was a big one for me that just opened my eyes to the energy. And the second one is on the physical, where I was offered to open the U.S., you know, to help promote in the U.S., right? And I found that to be very overwhelming. I'm working with the whole country, so I'm like, okay, it's a bigger thing than I've done before, but I'm in. Let's give it a shot. And so building tools and creating teams and philosophies and concepts, we're the pioneers, so we're making things up. And that load and that burden, I mean, it was long days and a lot of interactions and well, not really deadlines, but demands were high. And we know that as we start carrying the loads incorrectly and not releasing, then there's going to be pain show up in the body. And typically it's for men, for me, it's lower back. And so suddenly out of the blue, my lower back just started burning. It's on fire. And it wasn't because I'd hurt myself or anything. I wasn't like I lifted something wrong. I knew what it was. It was emotional. So I tried to work on it myself for 4 days, working on myself, doing my own things. And I was not getting anywhere. And the pain was moving up to about a 7 on my scale, 1 to 10. And so I thought, okay, let's use the Healy. And we have the local pain stimulation, especially, and there's one specific for chronic back. So I thought, let's use that. Plugged it in, put the sticky pads right on each side of the pain center, started the program, right? And I just went back to sitting at my desk, doing my work. And within 5 minutes, it was a noticeable change in the pain level. Noticeable, very noticeable. So I thought, I'm going to stand up, walk around. And that's the cool thing about Healy. You know, walk around with it. You clip it on your pocket, put it on your shirt collar. You walk around with it.
Yeah.
So I walked around with it. And I'm like, wow, I'm stretching. I move my body. I'm like, it does not feel the same. And within about 15 minutes, my pain was probably at a 2. Out of 2. And by the end of the program, I was feeling great. I was feeling super great. And I just, of course, now, if you don't do the maintenance, I feel great. I go right back into the work, right back into the stress, right back in. And the next day it came back. So I'm like, okay, regroup. And I ran the program again, regrouped my mind and my thoughts and my methods, and it never came back since. That's been 2 months. And we just, this was before we opened, and we just opened in May 1st. So yeah.
So it really helped you to remain that, control of your stress level and not have that expression in your body. That's amazing. I had my own personal experience. I own my own device, but I'm in Bali, and my devices have been sent to Spain, where I live permanently. So, but I did have the privilege to be able to borrow a device here for a week, and I've had my own personal experience. And what happened for me, I have had osteoarthritis for quite some years, and I've had chronic pain, quite severe chronic pain for a couple of years, especially in my shoulder and also with my toes that I have not been able to bend due to this. I did have a knee operation because I had problems with my knee as well due to the same circumstances, but that I did have a knee operation a little over a year ago. So what happened with using Healy is that after 3 days, my shoulder was actually, I could lift my arm again completely, which I have not been able to do at all. Before I could lift it maybe to here, and then it would be just too much tension. And the pain is completely gone. Took 3 days. And the same
That's
thing
amazing.
Same thing with my toes. I could bend my toes again, and my right toe was before I could bend it 2 millimeters down, like it was really basically fixed, which also makes it very painful when you walk. So any kinds of heels or anything like that I wouldn't be able to use. And now I can bend my toes and I have no pain. So it is absolutely amazing. Like I said, I was convinced just by hearing other people's testimonials previously, and that's why I decided to really dive in and want to share this with the world myself. But after my own experience, I am just absolutely on a mission, because it's such an amazing, beautiful self-healing tool to help you get rid of symptoms in your body that you have not been able to get rid of previously.
Yeah. Thank you. And you did this with the gold cycles.
I did this with the gold cycle, which is in all the program. It's always the same device, but then the different applications that are programmed into the device are in different packages. And the gold cycle has 7 different programs in it, and the program that I was using was within that program. So, yeah, so from the absolutely lowest package, so to say, you have
Entry model.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that's amazing.
Yeah,
So thank you so much.
you're so welcome. Now Steinar has it. So I'm really, really thrilled about that. It's really exciting. And then my another experience I had was also
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it becomes like you want to hold on to it like this, right? It's mine. Don't take it. Don't touch it.
I've even
So,
put it under my pillow at night sometimes. I like.
I know, it's my baby. It's beautiful. It really becomes a relationship. I can see that, that is like, it's very, very personal.
But I wanted to bring up something, as a healer, and you have we all three here at least have a long practice, and we know that after the bliss, the laundry, and to me, the Healy comes across to me as big part of the laundry, that it can actually take care of things before you're aware of it, like you mentioned earlier, Ken. So, and you mentioned Joe Dispenza, and that's also how I see it. That healers don't go obsolete because of the Healy, because breakthrough experiences. There's certain work that you can do better in groups even. What's your take in this field between spirituality and practice and healing, and how the Healy fits into this picture?
That's another great question. So the human body, I believe, and my work and I do a lot with the body. My focus is on the body. So as an athlete, as well as a epigenetic coach, so I teach people how to genetically change their body through many modalities. And one of the biggest ones is belief structures, thought processes, what we will and won't do, coherence. And one of the most important things is the body wants to heal. The body's natural state is balance.
Absolutely.
And what knocks it out of balance is us, right? It's this consciousness. And I know that disorder is just order waiting for a specific consciousness to observe it into existence. That's it. And all we have to do is to allow that to happen. So if we consciousness decide that we want order in our lives, then the body, the tissues, the cells, the organs, the systems will align with that. Right? We are the creators of any elixir, any cocktail, any chemical form within our body. It's just that what we've been attached to for so long, because of a species, an environment, a common thread, which is, maybe the news or maybe whatever. What we've attached to for so long is stress. And even low levels amount of stress, we know this, it's scientifically proven. Even low levels over a long period of time are the number one creator of chronic illness.
Absolutely.
And the genetic outcome of the human being is normally alignment. There's a very small amount of people, and Bruce Lipton is just one of the people who has a book about the biology of belief, where he shows less than 5%, mostly around about 2.5% of the entire species has a genetic disorder that from the beginning is unavoidable, right? The rest is nurtured into existence, right? Nurtured into existence. So if we eliminate, it's not always what we put into our life as practices, but if we eliminate certain things that aren't necessary or aren't not serving us, we've suddenly liberated just infinite amounts of energy for healing. And just when we attach to one small component of stress, it has a twofold influence or fivefold influence on our immune system, right? Just it's a huge impact. But if we release that energy, it has an infinite fold impact on our health. Infinite. So it's an equation. I mean, I'm an engineer, so I
hear that. I hear that engineer mind speaking loud and clear. It's beautiful, and it absolutely so phenomenally and so interesting how what Healy brings out is many times things that we don't expect, because we don't see from our understanding what is the purpose behind what has developed as an expression in our body. We don't know, but Healy picks it out.
Yeah.
And I find that incredibly fascinating.
And like I said, if you align the body, the side effect is health. The side effect is health. The side effect is more energy. The side effect is more joy, more bliss, more peace. The side effect of alignment is homeostasis.
Yeah.
So what we eliminate, we may not understand why we're working on this particular aspect, but Healy picks it up. Healy picks it up. Here's the basis of why our body is inflamed. Here's the basis. And if we work on the basis, suddenly we eliminate all of that confined energy and it becomes healing. So
yeah, it's beautiful. It's
simple.
really fascinating. So let me ask you, I think I understand that you have experienced quite some distance healing with Healy.
Oh,
I want to know more about that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I tell you what, if you just want an amazing marketing tool for Healy, this is it. I'm telling you, because again, being an engineer, I'm always pressing and expanding the envelope of things. You know, what I do is I create things and then I try to break them. And when I can no longer break it, then I'm done. Right? If I can no longer break it, then it means it's complete. So, and not that I'm trying to break Healy, but the point is how can I expand it? When I can no longer expand it, then I must be done. And I'm not sure that that's ever going to be possible with Healy to expand beyond. We're just going to find another level.
One step ahead of you, I think, maybe all the time.
always, right? And I hope so, because it's attached to the information field. That's above the speed of light. That's above all of that. That's the envelope that governs all life, all things, all universal pieces of information. So I decided I'm going to start to press the envelope a little bit. And I learned about how to set up clients. I learned all the things in 3D. I was interviewing people. I was creating clients, doing meetings every day, multiple meetings with people, and giving them an experience in the 3D space. And then we had this offering of social distancing, and we had this offering of shutdown. And so I thought, well, let's continue on. And I actually saw this was, this must have been in February. I saw an interview with a time waiver practitioner with Brid, and she talked about, and time waiver does this all remote, right? Time waiver does everything remote. And she talked about that. And we talked a little bit about using Healy in a remote fashion. So I thought, let's start doing an experiment. And so I created a video. I actually have a video where I did a full 100% remote client intake form on the Healy. I shared my screen. I even showed people how to, I did another little video about how to, using Zoom, how to share your screen on your phone, how to actually interact with the client, and then literally step by step, how to do a remote, like the same kind of meeting I was doing in 3D, but doing remotely. And I started out with a gentleman, a friend of mine, on the same time zone as me. And he had a phenomenal experience. Now he's very, very aware. And this is one of the reasons I chose him first, is because I wanted to see what was coming to him. Very, very open. He's the guy, he's healed his own, he's created his own bone matter through meditation and through some of his work. He's created a whole different spinal connection, some injuries. He's fixed so many things in his life. So he knows when he's receiving. And so he had a condition. He said, I'm not going to tell you what my condition is. And I said, good, because I don't want to know. I said, we're just going to do this together. And we did the initial session. We set him up as a client within the Healy, all remote via the Zoom. Then I set up a protocol. I create what I call the recipe So Healy gives you essentially 5 pages worth of programs that are your best alignment tools. And then we drill that down even more. I'll go and I'll use just 1 page at a time as the database criteria. And I will I'll let Healy select the 5 top ones on that page. So now we have a cocktail. So 5 different pages, 5 programs each. We have 25 modalities, programs in which we can feed him over a period of time, over the next 5 days. And I did that. And I would tell him, I would ask him when he wanted this treatment. I would ask him for how long he wanted this treatment. And we can program the Healy for the length of time. And we just hit the start button and we let Healy do its work. And then I get feedback from him. And so I found out he had a rash on his body. He wasn't sure where it came from, whether it was an emotional thing. He just did a bunch of clearing work. So of course, detox comes out in various ways. And he had this rash. He didn't know if he got into poison oak or if it was just from the emotional thing. And he told me the next day after we just ran 2 sessions and he had a meeting to go to. He said, I'll tell you what, my condition is somewhere between 60 and 70% improved just in these 2 days. And we still had 3 to go. And so he goes, he says, I'm in, right?
Wow.
So I thought, okay, let's go further. It was a phenomenal experience with him. Let's go further. So I went all the way to the East Coast, to Toronto, Canada. Another friend of mine, a very aware person in Toronto, and she actually agreed to be the co-star for the training video that I did. And beautiful young lady that she sat and participated, and the things she was telling me about what she was doing in her day. And I look at the list of the frequencies on that program and what they're doing, we're 100% in alignment. And I wasn't even telling her what she was getting yet, right? She's telling me what she's doing in her day, and I'm seeing the alignment with the program I'm actually running for her. And I thought, okay, so there's 2. I thought, let's go further. So I went to another beautiful soul sister of mine in Bali. And she's like, let's do this. And so I did that with her in Bali, and she was blown away. And here's the cool part with her was she actually through our mutual group, she connected with a gentleman there in Bali who had a Healy, and so we did the remote first and then a physical comparison with her and him, and found so much alignment there. So we had that other piece, the other component, right? With now we did remote. Now we've compared it to local, and look at the outcome. So I've since done with people in Peru, Mexico, all over. And
obviously it works similarly to distance healing that I have conducted also. It doesn't matter where people are.
No.
And it's amazing that this device enables more of us to do that. But I want to connect the dots. And first, on the Healy side, it says very clearly that there's no part in Healy that does anything with COVID-19. But you spoke to longevity earlier, and you spoke to what keeps us live long, and that is connectedness and the culture for connectedness. And I'd say here in Bali, we certainly have a culture for connectedness, and also connectedness vertically as well as horizontally, and in physical and the spiritual. So it's an amazing place to be. But with the COVID, this has quite severe impact on not just Bali, but even here, So it's the entire world is now less connected in the physical sense. So what is your take on this situation? How can we alleviate or be part of the work to again create more connectedness in a world gone mad, so to say? And how does that fit with our field here?
Yeah, that's a deep one there, brother. And the
leading to it.
It's connecting the dots, like you said. There is we all bring reality into its existence based on our perceptions, our senses, right? So we have our what we can see, what we can smell, what we can taste, what we can touch. We bring to our own perception of reality with those senses. But the truth is that the body doesn't know the difference between an experience we make up in the mind or one we have in the 3D space. It doesn't know the difference. And so we can literally make up experiences through just belief structures, just the thought, just the mind, and the body will get on board with it. So the problem is what we've been doing so long, too much, is that we've been believing that we are separate. We've been believing that we are broken. We've been believing that we're unworthy, that we're in lack, that we aren't loved. We were believing all these things that are no longer serving us. And of course, with this social distancing, we have another opportunity to believe it even more, even greater. I feel he has given us an opportunity to bridge that gap and let the body know that we can make them an experience. We can have these remote connections with people. We can have people all over the world having a great experience from our hand, from our assistance, from our device. And how do you feel? How do you feel when you're with your buddies or with your girlfriends and they're really just in turmoil in their lives, and you say, if you just breathe for a moment, let's just take a moment and breathe, and you do this together. It doesn't matter if it's over the phone or if it's in person, and you do this together, and suddenly they go, oh my God, Steinar, thank you. I feel so much better. Right. It's like, Harriett, thank you. I mean, I feel so much better. How do you feel when they say that to you? Right? Like it's feeding us at the same time as it's feeding them. So we have a way now to be able to do that. And I see it bridging many more people, creating much deeper and tighter relationships. I see things as this is the new normal. And we have an opportunity to create something unique. And we're the pioneers in that. So that's what I'm going to create. I'm going to create that. Right.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. And I think that, like you said, that this has given us, the COVID has given us the opportunity actually to see it as an opportunity. This is a gifted opportunity to really connect from in here, and that this connectness is the real connectness. And this one here is nice too. But it is when we're connected, from our heart space with people, that is the real true value, and that can never be separated.
No,
we're extension of the same energy.
Yeah
Absolutely. Yeah, it goes beyond the physical, and like I said, the body doesn't know the difference. The problem is that we spend so much time allowing the body to tell us how we feel, right? And it's that long period of time of chronic disorder that the body starts feeling pain or lack of energy, or just incoherence in some way. And so we listen to that, and suddenly it becomes the master. And everything we do is just to simply overcome the body's uncomfortable state. And now we're chasing our tail, right? We're trying to chase a solution. And this is why the medical industry and big pharma and all those things have gotten so popular and so empowered. And that's taken our power away. And now we can give the people their power back.
Yes, I was just going to say that. It's beautiful. We give it back, and people can take it back and own their own healing journey. It's beautiful.
And for the technical part of it, I'm a former pilot, so I'm a kind of engineer as well. And it's quite technical education to be piloting advanced military aircraft. So I can fully go into the technical, and I won't do that here, but to just connect it with the different versions of the Healy. Harriett used resonance, the expensive model to heal herself, but she used the program that's also in the cheapest model, the gold, the entry model, $470 as it is normally. And when you do distance healing, that must be the resonance, right?
It is. So to do the distance healing, it is done through the resonance, because the resonance side of it, you have two main apps. You have they call it the Healy analysis app, but its function is called the resonance. And then you have the Healy app, which is where all the microcurrent frequency programs live. So two different aspects. The resonance app will operate with the Healy plugged into its power source, because you don't hook any other leads to the Healy to generate any microcurrent into the body or into the cells or tissues. So you can use the Healy. You can set a timer, and you can allow the Healy to run for a period of time. And that is, there's two basic modes the Healy operates in. So the basic Healy is the quantum sensor, which also houses what's called a noise generator. A noise generator is, in electronics term, is anything that generates a frequency. Noise not in an audible form. We're talking about anything that generates a frequency. So even a flashlight is a noise generator. It generates a frequency of light, right? A speaker in your radio or in your stereo system is a noise generator, not because it gives a audible sound, but because it generates a frequency within the audible frequency range. So anything that transmits a frequency is called a noise generator. So within Healy, you have the connections, the plus and minus terminals on the device that plugs in the leads to connect to the body. That generates the same frequencies, but on a carrier wave of a microcurrent. Okay, so it is a microcurrent that actually goes into the body's cells, and it's felt in the body, and it's a very low. It's microcurrent, right? It's in the milliamps, right? I'm sorry, in the microamps. So it's the millionths of an amps. It's very small, and science shows that anything around the 5 milliamps. I'm sorry, I keep saying wrong, microamps. Anything around that 5 microamps stimulates ATP production in the cells. It also improves amino acid transport. It does things to the body that improve the body's condition at the cell level. So in the resonance, though, it utilizes the noise generator, which what they call, this is a German interpretation, they call it vibrate, right? It vibrates the signal. It's actually, I think it should be saying transmit, right? I think it should say transmit.
Yeah,
but
because that's vibrate.
It's not vibrating, it's not doing any of that. It's just sending the signal out through the noise generator. So it's actually sending the same frequencies within any one of those Healy programs that you spoke about, the gold cycle programs, or I spoke about the chakra programs. I also spoke about the pain programs. There are frequencies in those programs to create coherence within your field. Okay. We transmit those into the field via, on the Healy side of the program, on the microcurrent side, we transmit that coherence through the probes or the electrodes. On the resonance side, we transmit that coherent signal into the field, into your field. And your field is non-local. It's the influence of your field comes from every angle. Any experience, I told you, you can't untaste the orange juice. Any experience you've ever had in your life, any participants, any environmental influence, any, you might call them props for that experience, are part of the experience. So therefore, whether they're right there in your hand or somewhere in another country, they still have, think about it for a second. If you were to say, if you've ever been on a cruise, and I said, we started talking about a cruise, I'm sure you're not sitting where you can see a cruise ship, but you could bring the energy of that cruise into your awareness and suddenly be there. And the body wouldn't know the difference between that time you were at the cruise or this moment sitting on your porch. The body wouldn't know the difference as long as your mind could conjure up the experience. So now we're able to do that. We're able to put the frequencies into your experience, into your field, and let them trickle down over time on you. And that's how the Healy works in a remote condition. It's all energy. Energy is non-local. It's everywhere. It's
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. Yeah.
So, but you're deep. You're a deep guy, and you understand this realm, and so do we. But spreading the Healy out and this remote healing capability, who should do it, and when are they ready?
I say that, first of all, I believe life is an experiment. I believe that every single time we wake up in the morning, we have an opportunity to be the same repetitive self from yesterday or something brand new. So I say that we can wake up as an expert, or we can wake up as the layman, or we can wake up with no aspiration at all. So I say, let's all try it. I say, watch my video. I will gladly share that and then refine it. You're going to feel within your own body, within your own heart, this part may not seem like what I want to do. What I did when I did that video is I went along with what's in the field for the client list, right? There's all this information that the Healy is as a field for. It doesn't need it. It's not necessary, and it's 100%, but there's a field for it. So you can fill it all out on the client, or you can fill out very little on the client. And I offer the client a moment of pause and to feel. If you feel that you don't want to put that information in there, okay, this is for you. This is for the client. This is for you to have an experience. And realistically, what's really needed in there, and Healy might not like me saying this. I think they don't mind. Healy loves this.
Loves it all.
If you, even in ancient, in older traditions, if you had the picture of a person, and we could all put our eyes, our visual awareness on the person, where we place our focus is where we place our energy, right? So if we have a visual reference of somebody, right, we have their name and some other important information like when you were born. There's astrological implications as to when date you were born, and then where in the world were you born. So if you had those basics, do you need an email address or a phone number? Or no, not really. So I did it in its entirety on my video to be very complete. But what you really need is just some basic information about the person and experiment. And if they say, well, I really got nothing, I said, well, let's go a little deeper. Let's put more of the intention of you into the client file and see how that changes it. And just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Yes, absolutely. You can't break it.
No, that's it. You can't go wrong, really.
Here's the other thing I get asked. What if somebody was to have ill intentions and have my information, and can they use Healy to wreak havoc on myself? And the answer is no, 100% no. Why? Because the only thing Healy can resonate with is your resonance, right? Your resonance. So even if I have ill will, you're not going to receive it.
Yeah.
You're not going to receive it, so.
But what about these demo experiences where the space is perhaps for one program, 1 hour, and they come out feeling worse in a way they start the laundry and they don't get to the bliss? So what do you say then? We don't have a demo device they can have for a week. This is what we offer. So yeah, what to say in this field?
Yeah. So have you ever had, I ask everybody this question, have you ever had a deep tissue massage? And if you have a deep tissue massage, and the massage therapist will usually tell you, okay, make sure you hydrate, right? And then afterwards, they're going to say, look, drink plenty of water, go for a walk, move your body, spend some time in nature, grounding, that kind of thing, right? And so if you do those things, you may feel a little sore, but you're going to recover fairly quickly. If you don't do those things, what happens? Most of the time, 99% of the time, you feel like you've got the flu. You feel worse. You're like, oh, I'm never doing that again, right? Well, it's not the massage therapist's fault. It's because of your self-care wasn't up to par. And so you chose to be lazy. I mean, plain and simple. So if you are doing things to clear, you're clearing emotional baggage, you're clearing physical trauma, you're clearing conditions that don't serve you well. The Healy's doing that for you. And if you're not going to self-care, it's going to be a rough and bumpy ride. And I always, I'm telling people, look, before we do a session, please drink at least 1 liter of water, improve your electrolytes in your body, because the electrolytes are what transmits information through your body. I want you to move your body, preferably maybe in nature, go for a walk, and ground yourself, and then to the table and let's do some work. And then afterwards, do it again. The same self-care over and over. Have you ever had I work out my body, and if I don't do the right work before my workout, during my workout, and after my workout, I'm going to have probably a lot more adverse effects of my workout, and the effectiveness of the actual workout itself is going to be lower. So I support my body before, during, and after an exercise. And the same thing here. You're going to transmit the body, transport it or transmute it from one condition to another. And the body needs to have the support structures for healing, for repair, recovery, and growth.
Yeah.
It's a biological organism. It's in the 3D.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So to round off, what is the question we haven't asked that we should?
I think that we should ask ourselves each time, am I making a difference? Am I making a difference? Am I better today than I was yesterday? Do you feel like are you spinning your wheels, or you're getting some traction? Right. And I think we should ask ourselves that every day. And that's a valid question to ask me. And I think absolutely I am getting a lot of traction. I am better today than I was yesterday. And I know I will be better tomorrow than I am today. So absolutely. That's a great question I would ask at the end of this. And to answer my own question, I would say, yes, I am better today than yesterday.
Kudos to you.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful, and it's so true. So thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation with us. It's so appreciated, and love to take part of your of that healing distance video that you
Yes. So I know we're friends on Facebook. So I have the video on my personal page. You can actually just look at my pictures and videos and you'll find it there. I also have a leadership Facebook page that I have for all my leaders that I put this information in there as well. It's a much smaller group because the goal is to just, people who want to create. A leader is someone who's just inspiring others, right? A leader is someone who's trying to make others even better than themselves, to find the best version of them and support that. And so not everybody's ready to do that, and I get it. And so I really try to, and it doesn't mean that it can't be cultivated in a person, because I can see, and you guys can see the same. You can see a person that is in the beginning stages of their development, but you can see that their desire and their drive and their curiosity is wide open. And you go, yep, this is a leader in the making. And so certainly invite them in, so yeah, I have those tools available for folks, and I'm happy to share.
Fantastic.
Lovely.
So wonderful.
Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
And we'll share this also.
My pleasure. All right, you guys.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And for everyone who's been listening, also thank you for you who did come on. So thank you so much. And we'll be sharing this video in the Quantum Evolution group.